Yes, welcome to Creature Corner. Hello. Hello again on this blustery, cold Southern California evening. My name is Jared Krichevsky. I'm your host. So please welcome my co-host, the Millie to my Vanilli, Matt Millard.
Hello.
Hello. I've been saving that one.
Yeah, man. I feel like you've always got something in your pocket every time. It's nice.
I have to panic, think about those in the morning. And you know what? You know what panic thinking looks like? It looks like this, like forcing it out of my brain. So Matt, we have a special guest tonight.
Oh, I'm excited.
This is somebody that we both know.
We sure do.
As a person,
as a human being,
as a human being, as a human person. We're really excited to have our guest tonight, Gregor Punchatz. Did I say it right? Did I say it right? He's mad. He's making angry faces. He's mad.
No. I think there's a I don't know. Yeah.
There's an angry thumbnail going on right now. I'm just kidding. No, we're very excited to welcome our colleague and friend, fellow monster maker with an incredible legacy behind him in monster making, and he's a good friend of ours and colleague, and so we're just super excited to have him. We're gonna get rowdy, so get ready for the absolute nonsense that's about to commence. Please welcome Gregor to Creature Corner. Gregor, hello.
What's up, Greg?
Hey, awesome to be here. I join you guys very often when I need to get some work done. I just like to have you guys on in the background, and anytime I'm working on some personal work, and here comes my wife. She decides to walk in while we're starting airing.
That's so sweet, though. Like snacks.
Hi.
Snacks. Yeah, she brought me snacks.
He has to eat, my Matt.
Hey.
Okay.
See, it's family.
It's family. Yeah.
It's always family.
Exactly.
We're here.
All right. So
family.
Apparently, she did not know that I was live on air.
Sorry.
Not a big deal. Hey, look.
Yeah. But yeah, hey, it's awesome to be here because, like I said, I literally if I don't get to work enough just working on my monster stuff. I'm busy directing stuff, making commercials and crap like that. Keeping the dogs fed, keeping everything moving. But when I just want to work on some stuff, I just like to come sit in your creature corner. As like I told Jared the other day, I often wish I could have just back at ASC, as much as I enjoyed what I was doing there, I sometimes just wish I could have just come out
and hang with
you guys. I got to do the goobers from time to time, but I would rather have just hung with you guys mostly.
I mean, when you do this day in and out, you become a little crazy, and so it's nice to share that space with other fellow crazy people.
Well,
because you get it.
I've been at this since 1985 professionally, so it's been a bit, So
yeah. For context, I was 4.
You were 4, yeah.
I was 4 years old. So
I was in the negatives.
You were in the negative.
Had a glint.
And I was hanging out with Freddy Krueger, right?
That's right.
So,
man.
Yeah.
But that's so funny because a lot of those things that you worked on would go on to totally affect my life and change like what I want, my trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's and now, we're friends and we chat and share art and art tips. I mean, it's awesome. That's the cool thing about it.
The thing is, I've never ever I always consider myself a student. I've never. So like, I am such a fan of, both of you guys' work. Like I said, I would just like, sometimes I might have come over your shoulder when you didn't want me there. If you notice, I never said anything. I just wanted to see the cool shit that you guys were doing. Yeah. Plus, you had enough opinions telling you what to do. So, I always figured that was already taken care of on the art side of things. So
it's true.
You had great art direction there,
It's true. But, given that pressure that we were under, that you come under for doing all that stuff. You got to release the pressure with that valve, and that valve is humor, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we just be
Oh
silly.
yeah. And that's what I always appreciated about your side of the room.
And so that's what I get. Probably that's why Creature Corner is a little comforting, because you're like, those guys in the back.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
So Gregor, for people who don't know you, we get a lot of younger crowd in here, so there might, this is Noman, so a lot of people who are new to the industry or coming into it. Why don't you give us a little bit of a background on yourself? Tell us how you found your way into this.
Sure.
And go for it.
When I was a kid, I saw Star Trek. Believe it or not, the old school Star Trek, and I looked at Mr. Spock's ears, and I asked my mom, how did that get done? Like, how was his ears that way? And she said a makeup artist did that. And then as soon as I heard that, it was like, wait, there's a job where you get to like do cool things like make ears. And then shortly after that, I saw like the original King Kong, the 1933 King Kong. And then I was like, wait, how do these monsters get made? My dad's like, it's stop motion, and then he introduced me to Ray Harryhausen, and so I kind of went down that path, and I was the typical 70s monster kid. I just was super into monsters. I wanted to do makeup effects at a super early age. Awesome. So I started doing stuff like when I was in, elementary school, doing like I can remember going in 6th grade doing my own werewolf makeup, Yeah. And then I was doing like, scars on my face. And I even got into some early prosthetics right about then. And that was just about the time that I met Aaron, And so, I always had the emphasis in monsters. He wanted to be an illustrator. So I spent my next 5 years just sculpting and, making, old school stuff, Let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah. Put it up, man.
Let's see which.
It's middle button under the screen. There you go. That's boom.
And then so I'm just going to bring up some.
Heck yeah, man.
Old school stuff. Let's see.
If you have questions for Gregor, go ahead and pop those up. I'll read all the comments and look at that desktop.
Oh yeah,
you can always learn something about a man from his desktop.
Yeah, it's been in worse. It's been in worse and better shape than this. Okay, what I'm looking for pre. So many times I'll be going through this. Oh yeah, I worked on that. Not wrong one. That's on pre-CG, not personal work. Where is that? That's some of my pre-CG work here, but this sculpture basically right here got me my job working on Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Okay.
So like I did this when I was like 17 years old, and I sent this off to Mark Shostrom, who was doing Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and he saw this and he's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a shot." And so that was kind of like my first really like introduction to
where was this?
I was in Dallas at the time, and I just sent him a picture, and I had actually gotten, do you know Bart Mixon?
No.
He actually helped me get into what I did. And he was also like Aaron's boss at one time. He gave him, kind of a boost in his career as well. But Mark Shostrom saw that and said, "Sure, I can, hire you." I think it came out in here and worked for like $200, maybe $250 a week, in Los Angeles back in the day. And
so you kind of you moved out here with nothing.
I moved out here temporarily. It was like this really quick sort of like, hey,
You're
sleep
just some
with-"
kid, and you made a sculpt, and then you're like,
And they're like, cool, you can
Wow.
come out here and work on this. Yeah. And I'm like, cool, I'll come sleep on the floor somewhere. And
Yeah.
so like,
You're like, hell yeah.
hell yeah.
I'll
So
do
the
that.
first thing I got assigned was there was going to be a tongue in the movie, which actually, kind of,
Of course.
this whole scene was kind of a big deal. But at the time, I didn't know it was a big deal. So we had a tongue sculpting contest because we were waiting for our actor to be cast. Mark had not completely signed. Mark Patton had not signed on the dotted line. And so me, Anthony Shao, and Barton Mixon started sculpting a tongue. And within like a day or so, Mark just looked at mine and goes, Greg wins. That was kind of how it was. But at the same time, I was, also the guy sweeping the floors, as much as I could and try to do the best job that I could, so it was a big learning experience. I mean, because it was just,
Awesome.
It was crazy because the kind of hours we did were nuts. I mean, the last 3 days on that project, we literally did not sleep for 3 days because nothing was painted. None of the characters, none of this. Let me get up to these, like, where's the big transformation guy here? I know it's in here somewhere. Let me go to the part 2, maybe. Yeah, so like this whole like dummy guy that was used for, here's a good one. Early testing. So we were working how Freddy was going to burst out of his stomach. So I got to stand in.
That's so sick.
That's so cool.
Or so like Freddy's supposed to be starting to stretch out of there. So in this Showstrom studio, so I got to stand in, and
That's so sick.
So I had the expression down pretty good. But so let's see me find moving quickly. So here I am on set. Helping puppeteer the thing. We're all wearing these awesome pajama T-shirts. That look like shirts we're wearing. 80s fashion there. But this stuff is, I was living my dream. I'm sitting there next to Freddy Krueger. A year before, I had just seen at the theater as just a horror fan, wanting to get into the business. And now I'm working on, this
now you're like suddenly like, in the blink of an eye, you're there.
And
that's amazing, dude. That's such a cool origin story. Like I feel like all the origin stories of a lot of pioneering makeup effects people are like, well, I just packed up and I moved. I had 2 nickels and rubbed them together, and
it wasn't much more than 2 nickels. I
couch surfed and I just I ate clay and slept on a bed, on a makeup effects bed, and
I was a janitor for free for 3 months, and they hired me kind of thing.
Yeah, so like Bart Mixon and I. So Bart was from Houston, and so he's now he works on every Marvel movie. He's
incredible.
He was Aaron and I's boss on a couple of movies and stuff. But he and I slept in this tiny little apartment that we shared. I bought an inflatable mattress, but like 3 weeks into it, that inflatable mattress popped. So then I ended up, sleeping on a dirty pile of clothes because, at 19 years old, that's what you do because you just need to get the job done,
Yeah, when you're, and plus when you're 19, you can recover very quickly from a bad night. Well, in a way that you cannot today in our, at our age.
Not even close. Yeah. In fact, that's kind of the next thing. It's like you see me painting this guy here. So I ended up literally, Mark Showstrom laid out sort of like just he got a really great base color down on everything, but there was literally every single dummy for the transformation scene was not painted the night before we were about to start shooting.
Wow.
And I was the only person who could stay awake because I was younger at the time, and so they just kind of they handed me one thing and they saw me paint it and they're like, okay,
yeah, go for it, kid.
They just kept handing me these things. No, that's great. You just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. So by the time the night flipped, to morning, we're driving to set. I'm so wasted, just so tired. We get there and there's like supposed to be like an hour or two before we're supposed to start shooting. and I literally crawl under. I guess it's like a coffee table that's about this high, and just hide under there and sleep for 1 hour.
Oh man,
that was crazy. And so and then so here's me working on this guy. So this was the whole crew. This guy here, John Blake, he actually is one, like if Robert Downey Jr. is in a Marvel movie, he is the head makeup artist of the whole film. Dude.
Wow.
Yeah, he started us on the film. He's Robert Downey's personal dude at this point. But we all started out on this project together,
That's really cool.
And then we kind of, and after that I, hopped to where was that shit?
That's kind of what you want, though, is like you want to become the guy. Like, this is my guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep him fed and comfortable, and this is my guy, and I'm only working with them.
Yeah, and then I got to work on From Beyond for a little bit.
See, that's incredible. The one we want to know about.
Yeah, this is where we were waiting.
This is the one that I'm obsessed with.
This is an interesting one. I started this project with Mark Showstrom. It was me and him. I was kind of like his assistant. And during this project, I actually had this terrible car wreck. And and I don't even think you even see it right here. I got a scar right here on my forehead. And so, I wasn't quite the same guy after that car wreck. And it's one of the few jobs that, like, I just ended up not doing well on. I was so excited, I thought it was going to be great. I was doing well artistically and stuff, but I started clashing with one of the guys on the project, partially due to being young and stupid, but partially being stupid from this, this thing that just happened to me, and not really, I hadn't internalized that at that point. Like, this was a thing, that had happened to me, like, it had changed things. But he and I basically sculpted. Me and Robert Kurtzman basically sculpted this guy together, and then Pretorius Monster himself, we kind of divided chunks. I kind of had this sort of center chunk in here. Robert was taking this side over here, and then we would work ourselves around it.
What did you call them?
You had the what was the muffins, or what was it? You and Aaron would call the hands, like you guys told me this story about how it reminded you of like cats, like digging.
Oh, making muffins. They were like making muffins. Yeah, the muffin hands. Yeah, I've got a few shots of Aaron like sculpting in here somewhere on some of this stuff. I've got a lot more shots of this in other places too. But yeah, so these were good times. But the good thing about that is, you get laid off from one thing and you got to move on to the next. It's about how you roll with the punches.
Yeah.
I ended up being working on Robocop instead. So I think my trade-off was.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. So I ended up.
That's okay, man.
Moving on to Robocop and painting. I painted Robocop.
That's awesome.
It came with a paint job, but that paint job was rubbed off the second he rolled on the ground, and every day we basically had to, completely recreate that.
No,
so I ended up doing that daily, So that was a lot of fun, and helping with the melting a meal guy, the toxic waste dump stuff.
Yeah.
And went through that kind of stuff, and then ended up working, coming back and working with Art. And then here's me and Aaron on Fright Night 2,
Awesome. Yeah.
The hair, dude.
Yeah.
It's all about the hair, dude.
Like, that is the most hair. You can't.
All about the hair. Yeah.
Man, you couldn't make a wig that good.
Yeah.
Like, that is on both of you too, and that's what's crazy. We know Aaron, now, but it's always funny to see pictures of
like here's
early
where
Aaron with the big mop on top.
Here's where it really started. This was my first foam latex appliance right here.
That's so cool.
Yeah, in fact, right back here. So one time, Aaron was doing something recently. I had shared a bunch of old pictures with him. And there's this drawing back here, and he accidentally thought it was a drawing he had done, and he shared it at one of his his presentations. It was like, here's a drawing I did as a kid. It's like, no, that was my drawing, dude.
Finger.
But yeah, honest mistake. So like, here's me. This is me operating the Robocop arm. It's like shaking the hand in when Robocop's like.
Can you enlarge that at all?
Oh yeah.
Make it big.
There you go.
Wow, there you go.
And this is me with Oscar winner Stefan Dupuis over here. He did the makeup he was applied the makeup for The Fly.
So sweet, dude.
I can't tell you how much I learned about painting from this dude in one night. Wow. Literally, I changed the way I looked at stuff. We were working on the melting a meal guy. It basically came in unpainted to us from Rob Bottin's. And, he started to paint the face and he said, start working on the chest. He's like, no, nothing like this. He's got the French accent, and he's like, and he had this really great watercolor technique that gave this really sort of this depth, and translucency before you really had translucent materials.
Oh, that's really
like in The Fly, if you ever look at the paint job on his face when he's first starting to rot, that's all this dude. That's all this dude's, like paint style. He's one of the most brilliant guys I've ever worked with. He can't pronounce airbrush or hairbrush differently, but other than that, he's awesome. Go get the hairbrush, and I come back with a hairbrush. No, the hairbrush.
The airbrush.
Yeah.
Oh man. And incredible. Like, first of all, I just got to remark, like, one, sleeveless, incredible, just like the confidence.
Showing my guns, man.
Showing the guns. No, you gotta work. Dude. You gotta work, and then the shorty shorts. I mean, just incredible.
The shorts, yeah. I mean,
history.
Incredible history.
Yeah, the shorts are pretty short. Yeah, they're pretty legendary. Those shorts.
It's legendary, dude. But like RoboCop, man, that's amazing.
Yeah. And speaking of, so like, here, another Robo shot. Me, Phil Tippett. Just so if you weren't clear, So on RoboCop, this is RoboCop 2, I think. Yeah, this is RoboCop 2. On RoboCop 2, I was no longer painting, but I was the second unit head of RoboCop, basically. So anything to do with RoboCop and all the stunt work and hooking him up with Ed 209 and all that stuff. So I was working with the guys on set.
Right in front of you is the kid, the like billionaire or the millionaire kid.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing. That kid.
But I can't tell you how much I learned from Phil Tippett on this thing.
Oh, I bet, dude.
So I just sat there and picked his brain in between every single thing. In fact, he was working on this project called Dinosaur at the time that he and Paul Verhoeven came up with on the first RoboCop. And that ended up being that Disney movie, Dinosaur.
No way. Oh, the dinosaur. No way.
Yeah. So the way that whole movie came about, by the way, is, when Ed 209 walks down the stairs.
Yeah.
And he falls down.
Right.
Well, the truth is RoboCop could not walk down the stairs. And we did not know that until RoboCop got to the set. And so I get a last minute call from Stefan. He's frantically trying to put some shoes together made out of foam so he could actually walk down the stairs. So I came over and helped him. And during the time we were building these shoes, apparently Paul Verhoeven and Phil Tippett came up with the whole concept for the dinosaur movie.
It's just dudes being creative. They're just like, they're like, oh yeah, then wouldn't it be cool if and then suddenly like an idea.
Exactly.
That's how it happened.
And it was originally going to be R-rated, so it changed a little bit over time. The dinosaurs weren't.
Yeah, then Disney comes over. Comes over and says, "Mine," and this is about a family.
Yeah,
that was one of the ones that got away for me because I was talking to Phil the whole time, like, dude, I need to sculpt dinosaurs for your project. I just need to sculpt. No, whatever I need to come sculpt.
Like, hey, Phil.
So that was kind of like something we were, talking about at the time. Here's another classic of Aaron here on From Beyond.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. So again,
amazing hair.
Yeah, it's all about the hair.
I think the older that I get and the more that I lose, the more I'm like, I really appreciate a good
He
head of hair.
appreciates a good.
You know, it's I am blessed by some kind of genes or gods or something.
No,
It's the only thing I still have.
Man,
I may not have much, but I still got my hair.
my hair is coarse and uncomfortable.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
why I shave it. So
There you go.
I just figured the Picard look is fine.
You know,
We'll
Picard's
just run
cool. Engage, you know.
Engage.
And then after all that, I just kind of, you know, I ended up working for Rick Baker for a little while on Coming to America and a couple of things, running foam, not doing artistic stuff, but you know,
the still important work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, but then there was a point where, you know, it was just kind of like, you know, there was an actors strike, and then I went back home to because it's 1989. There was no work left, and it turned out great because I ended up meeting my wife and starting my own company. And you know, I would not have worked on Doom if it wasn't, you know, for that. So you know, that was kind of like the next big thing I did was kind of, you know, get involved with Doom. My dad, who is you know, an amazing illustrator, who, you know, actually, you know, is my biggest artistic inspiration. He was, in fact, he was the first person ever to hire Aaron as an artist, and you know, taught him how to use an airbrush and all that kind of good stuff.
Wow,
that's awesome.
And so
influence there.
You know, so you know, he went over to he was talking to the guys at ID about some of these things you're not supposed to see. Okay, I'll roll up. It's like, wait, Doom 4 stuff that's never been seen before. Let me roll up a little bit.
Yeah, we'll just put it all.
Cut that.
It's
anyway,
fun. It's
anyway. So he was going to do the illustration for this new video game Doom, and he goes, you know, he saw that they were working on these clay models, trying to make sprites out of them. Yeah, he's like, you know, you need to talk to my son because like he makes these things like for real. That's kind of how he put it for you know.
Yeah.
They were just stumbling, and so you know that's when I got contacted to like, you know, come in and create, you know, this guy, you know, for Doom, you know, which is, you know,
look at that.
Look at that boy. Look at that face.
That's my bad boy, you know. So that was a lot of fun, you know, and so, you know, that kind of started a whole like few years of making stop motion models for video games. You know, I actually did a whole bunch of stuff for Electronic Arts that has never seen the light of, you know, I even have that in here.
Dude, Greg, the first time I remember going into your office at ASC and you had that like original polyfoam mold of the Spider Mastermind, I like lost my shit. I was like, oh my God.
It is in the other room right now.
Just like it like grounds you real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Doom was one of the first video games I remember playing, and I played it. I mean, I still play it. You know, it's been a
but now you can play it on your phone.
Here's like an old VHS tape like that. Wait, I'll turn it down. You know, this was like right before we were going to deliver it. You know, this, of course, you know, VHS. It's such a high quality. You know,
it's very high quality.
You know, but that almost makes it better, I think. So,
it's
like this is how you know for my portfolio. Let me film it with this. I think I rented this. I think I got this camera from the local cable station.
No kidding. Yeah.
So this was just, you know, this is random. Just that's the way the model looked before I delivered it to him. And then here's the Mancubus in work.
How heavy was it?
You know, it was. I got a lot better at making stop motion models as I went forward. Let's just say that it was too heavy to be very elegant.
Yeah, I wonder.
You know?
Yeah, I mean that it looks like it's got some heft.
Yeah, it's got some heft. You know, this guy was much better. He was more reasonable. You know, it's funny how, you know, we all get inspirations from stuff. You know, a lot of people like, you know, where'd you get the inspiration from that guy? And like, it's just the weirdest places you find stuff. It's like, oh, it's this one thing I saw one time that in this terrible movie that never actually got released called Time Gate. This guy is the Mancubus. I mean, everything, you know, the multiple foods. all
is
that sort of stuff.
incredible.
You know, and it's actually, I mean, looking at this now, that's still a goddamn solid design. You know,
Dude, you could, I mean,
Yeah,
you could make
that's
something
awesome.
with that today, and it would totally get.
I'm pretty sure that's in one of the most recent Star Wars TV shows, right? The Mando show.
So the guy that did these monsters is the same guy that made Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
sweet.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, and then and so over the years, everyone, and so this was I did some Doom 64 stuff. This is Doom Guy 64. He's so badass. He has an 8-pack.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
We like that.
we
An 8-pack, and he also looks a little bit like He looks a little bit like Sergeant Carter from Gomer Pyle.
his like obliques,
Yeah.
though, like are the one muscle
that's
that's not developed.
That was one of these things. After I finished sculpting years later, as I looked at it, I went, "Dude, you have one too many packs."
Yeah,
He's
one
a
too
new
many
guy,
packs.
so he kind of should, you know.
He's got some like excellent rib muscles on top too.
Yeah. So, you know, and then so that's, and then after that, I ended up getting, shortly after that, getting into CG. I saw Jurassic Park and kind of knew that was my.
That was the next
Yeah.
place.
That was my density, you know.
Right.
And I even told the guys, we actually all went as a group, all my guys that worked in my shop to see it. And like, that's what I'm going to be doing. That's what we got to do,
Yeah.
And I just, I was lucky enough to find an opportunity where somebody said, "Hey, you have the right skill set to make a good CG artist.
Yeah.
We'll send you off for training." By
Nice.
training, that means 1 week of school
Okay.
on an SGI computer learning soft image.
Soft homage.
So when I got back from that,
The softest of homages.
It is a very soft homage.
When I got back from that training, I was like, I'm going to be so fired. I mean, this was IRIC system. I didn't know how to copy files from one place to another. I had barely done this thing in Photoshop at this point.
Yeah.
And so I figured the only thing I could do was be the first guy there every single day and the last guy there every single day. So it looked like I was trying. And back then we didn't have YouTube to learn stuff. So we had like this giant, set of manuals that was literally like, this wide, all together.
If you remember the old like manuals from any computer software, they were bricks, just bricks of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like had the attention span to go through one of those, good on you. But like, I would try and skip to the pictures, and there would be no pictures. It would just be like lines of code and text, and you're like, "What is this?"
I didn't know. I mean, they were talking about NURBs and polygons and isoparsomes and things. I didn't even understand the words the first time I read it, but I figured if I just read them and then try to go do something, and then I would come back and read them again. It took me like the third time. I'm ADD, I'm dyslexic. So this takes me, I mean, it's one thing if you know that, the words you're speaking, but sometimes I wouldn't even know. By the third time I read them, I had a good idea what I was talking, what they were talking about, So, and then finally I remember the first VHS that came out on rigging, and it was like, oh man, this is a godsend being able to watch somebody do something,
I know, man.
Yeah.
And then the internet opened up, and it's like, now it's like, there's no software I don't know now, because I can just open up YouTube and learn it as I, for a job. Sure, I can do that. Let me just open it up. I'll figure it out, because once you know 3D, it's okay.
They all pretty much translate.
Once you know the principles, you can translate it to a lot of different software.
And you got to know those the principles of like XYZ and translation, rotation, scale, but once you get that, jumping into other programs is not, there's a learning curve to every one of them, because they're all weird and inconsistent. But eventually, you get the hang of one, and you can jump in another. Except for Blender.
You know, but doesn't it look great though? I mean, every time I see some demo of something
No way,
there's
dude.
there's many things I look at. There's no way you can do that in Maya. There's just
Yeah.
there are many zillions of things I'm looking like. Geometry knows no, you can't do any of that kind of crap in Maya. In fact, it reminds me a lot of some of the old XSI stuff where we had ice and all that kind of crap where we could do some shit. You know,
the real time stuff. I mean, all the real time stuff in Blender is super cool. And then
I want that viewport in Maya. Just give me give me something that doesn't look like 1990.
Oh my God.
I was just thinking about it. I'm like, man, this program is how old, and it still looks
just as old.
It looks just as old. Like it is showing its age. You know, even ZBrush is showing its age. It's just like, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the day. I'm looking forward to the day that I can sculpt in a path tracer where it just, I don't even care if I have any materials except clay. I just want real shadows all the time because it makes such a damn difference.
Have you tried Nomad or Forger on iPad?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Those are great. They're really good. It's just like you're doing this with because you're doing it on an iPad, you're going like this.
Yeah.
And it's just really inconvenient.
I'm praying that the integration with Maxon gives us some kind of modern view.
Yeah. I mean, like
talking about Redshift, I guess, right?
The biggest, Redshift will be next. But I agree. Like, I want to sculpt with real lights, and I want to sculpt with real materials,
real things,
and you know, this is a hurdle that we've come up with a lot. Is just clients have trouble reading ZBrush for whatever reason. It doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, yeah, of course, this, you know, I can tell what's going on, but clients now need photorealism just to be able to.
We can thank the work that you guys and Aaron and the other guys.
I know we are a part of that, you know, but that's the work that I enjoy doing, you know.
You know, back on what's great about the time, like back on ID, there wasn't it wasn't committee decisions. It was like, hey, dude, we want a fat guy with some guns on his arms.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
That was it. And then I made it and they went, cool, you made a fat guy with guns on his arms. That was the extent of it. He wasn't called a mancubus at the time. I think they called him fat boy. I called him fat dude. You know, that was the extent of game design, you know.
Right.
You know.
I think it's changed now because you know, we have these big corporations, these big IPs. The results of those decisions will cost millions of dollars, and then the result of those decisions will net millions more. So like I get like why design is so picked over now more than ever, because like they're going to make toys out of these. They're deciding marketing from the images that you're producing. I mean, it's a lot of work. Gregor, this looks great. I mean, I've been following your work on this guy, he looks fantastic.
Thanks, man. You know, it's one of those things. I actually did I went and I tried to make him look more like what I had done originally. And then I decided that I had really just put too many wrinkles everywhere on him. And so I kind of just went back. It's like, no, I liked him better when he just wasn't a wrinkly sack.
Like a sack of wrinkles and skin.
Yeah. And so, you know, like,
when you do a lot of creatures, you end up with lots of, you know, wrinkles and
yeah, you know, so, you know, I really kind of, you know, at one point I really liked these elbows here, and I was like, yeah, I like these elbows. I'm really digging these elbows here. I like this texture here. I think it's cool. But then I did these knees, and I'm like, no, I think I like the simpler knees from far away. So I figured I was just gonna knock out these elbows with you
Love
guys and
love
make
the
the
old
rest
man
of
butt.
make them look like the rest of the, so.
Whenever a creature has an old man butt, that makes me very happy.
Well,
That's
I
really
mean,
cool.
it's not, it's not a
this
full
was,
butt.
this was
It's
done
a,
intentionally because now let me bring up another screen and see if I can get this other guy here, because Doom guys are known for having really ripped butts because of Adrian Carmack, who did some of the original designs. And so on this guy,
but you think about it, you're running around all day, shooting monsters, you're going to be physically fit. You're going to get a nice butt.
yeah,
You're
but
gonna get that
so
nice
this guy, I made sure he had a sweet. Can you see it
That's-
here?
look at those
Yeah,
things.
okay.
Yeah,
Look at that, dude.
that is
Nice.
that's
You
good.
know,
That's good creature butt.
It's good
Yeah.
So I like to spend probably more time on this butt than any part of the creature, because Doom ass is actually kind of like it's
a
kind
thing.
of like the lore.
It's real.
It's a thing. So
Doom ass is real.
but as an antithesis to that,
You heard it here
UMass
first.
is also
folks.
a late night of really spicy food.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I'm all about that. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about there.
I'm all about that.
I'm all
let me
about
tell
that.
you.
All about that, dude. Yeah, have a little. Hold on, let me bring him up here. Got too many damn screens. Oh, by the way, guys, I don't know if you guys have messed at all with 2023 Maya GPU. Have you guys messed with it yet?
No, I just
No, I
downloaded
mean-
like.
Wait, watch this. Watch this shit. Holy shit, guys!
Yeah.
It's like Keyshot. It's so fucking quick. It's just it's so fucking it's butter, dude. It's butter.
Well, it's like everything is going this way anyway, because now the chips are powerful enough to support it. So there's no reason why any software shouldn't have some kind of GPU rendering. That looks fantastic, though. I like the lighting.
Oh, thanks, man. I've just been. Let's see. Where's my damn?
What's up, Mike? Welcome, buddy.
Oh. But yeah, I mean, the speed that it's gotten to, guys, just this build, there's something about it. It has just turned into, it's just.
Don't you have some insane computer, though, too?
My insane computer has been at the insane computer store since pre-Thanksgiving, and they don't know when they're going to be able to give it to me back. So
Damn, I mean, I remember watching the rant video.
yeah, no, it's gotten worse. I'm not because this is a public. You know what? Lenovo would not mind me complaining about another company at all. But anyway, yeah. No. So, but yeah, I mean, just that this thing is just turned. Yeah. I just can't tell you. Wait, let me turn on the.
And number one, getting a very powerful machine is like step one.
Yeah.
Dude,
the head sculpt on this thing is so sick.
It's really good, dude.
It is so good.
This is excellent.
Yeah, I love the draft on that forehead.
Do you have is that just decimated, or do you have
this is
combo
just
on it?
decimated right now? Yeah, I'm going to take. Yeah. I basically want to. I'm going to refine him some more. I want to, like I said, I really like the way his knees turned out, and then I decided that just like the details on his elbows were too tight for where I want it to be. I want them to be larger wrinkles. So I want to get that cleaned up, but this is going to be a print. And then I'm also going to, I got to take this guy into Unreal 5 and just, recreate
nice.
Doom 64 in Unreal 5, and it's kind of sacrilege, I'm sure, for some folks, for to do that. But
no way, man. Awesome. Doom will outlast us all.
Yeah, man. I've got a Doom tattoo.
You got a Doom tattoo.
Absolutely love that game.
So there's a picture of me like with.
It's on my butt.
It's on his butt.
It's not on my butt.
It's not on his butt.
It's on my butt.
It's on his butt. Left cheek or right cheek, Matt?
It's on my right wrist.
Middle.
Yeah.
That looks right, dude. And you're rendering
that's awesome.
Arnold. Gregor.
Yeah,
What was
Greg,
that?
you there?
Yeah,
You
I'm
there,
here.
buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so
I-
I've
you
got
know,
a
sometimes it's easier to find stuff on the internet than on your own computer. So yeah, so this is the guy I'm recreating right here.
Let's see.
This model that I made for Doom.
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, I actually want to print this guy this big so I can literally recreate this photograph. You know,
Oh, that'll be
everybody
fun.
does that 10-year challenge. I want to do the 30-year challenge.
Yeah, that's tight.
Are you gonna mold it and cast it and do all that?
You know, it really depends. You know, I've gotten to the opinion now that unless I'm going to make a lot of them, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
The amount of work required versus like what you get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, like with my Spider Mastermind, it worked out great for there's a few collectors that wanted some, but I think it would just be easier to print them and not and do the cast. And honestly, I was worried a little bit. Like the printer's slow, yeah, but I'm not making enough of them. I'm not making enough of these things to. I mean, all I do is I just make enough printing stuff to pay for my printing stuff. I sell enough of this stuff to, when I sell a Doom collectible or whatever, just enough to get my money back. It's so I can have Doom toys on my shelf. This is what it's all about,
Yeah. I mean, that's really the whole reason to 3D print in the first place is just to
make your own toys.
It's just to make your own toys.
Exactly.
I mean, Matt and I have talked about this, and maybe that's why I'm not in a mood to print right now, is because I don't know what toy I want to make.
So, how are you enjoying that printer, Matt?
Oh man, it's nice. It's been a little too cold the last month or so, but I did start printing again last night. I printed off this Beholder guy, the one that I sculpted here on Creature Corner. Yeah,
look at that! Look how huge that is, dude.
Dude, hell yeah! That is awesome. That is totally rad.
And you got all that glue. You got all that glued in.
Now let me tell you about gluing it in. Funny story. Very funny story. It's hilarious, actually. Okay, I'm hyping it up. It's not that funny, but really,
what cried for like 8 hours straight.
Dude, I spent 2 hours trying to glue that thing together today. Now let me tell you, that doesn't make any sense. So last night I printed off a really small one, and I had some super glue, and I stuck that bitch together. It worked perfect. I was like, okay, this is great. So I started the big one overnight. Run out of super glue. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the hobby store. Oh, you know what I need to get? I need to get that model glue, like what I use for those. What I use for those old, like you get the jet or the car that you put together and you fucking use a model glue. Whew, I don't know what was going through my mind, but I bought that stuff, dude, and I mean, it was not sticking for the life of it. Like I was just holding it there for like 10 minutes at a time, it's still falling off. And I'm like trying to do this like on my lunch break, and I like hurt my back today, so everything's like aggravating. And I'm like, this is garbage. A couple hours later, I just went to Kroger and got some super glue, and I was done in like 10 seconds. I was like, man, I am never not using super. I'm always going to use super glue.
Oh man. I thought you were gonna tell us that you like you fell asleep with the glue by your nose, and then you ended up glue for like 8 hours or something like that. You're like, hey, I woke up in another dimension, different from our own.
Dude, you can't deny that the smell of that stuff is amazing, right?
It's pretty great, and if you sniff it, for a long time.
That reminds me, like the first model kit I ever built, I was like 5 years old.
Don't sniff glue.
My parents bought me a model kit. They went somewhere, like they were going out that night and left me home to make a model in a closed room. Yeah. And at some point, I'm like, I feel funny.
Yeah.
The fumes just completely got to me. It's just
amazing. Well, you had to deal with a lot of that, right? Like especially working.
Yeah, Robocop. Yeah, Robocop was the worst. When we first started that, he was painted with this. He was made out of a material. He's made out of a urethane material, which is basically intrinsically difficult to paint. It was a very poor choice for them to make the suit out of that. They learned that after that, and they went to the logical choice of fiberglass after that on the next films. But on that one, it was a soft urethane, so it's basically the paint would peel off every single day. I mean, just like sheets up. Yeah,
it is the worst.
So you can't, and because it was this translucent paint job, you can't just patch an area of it. You have to repaint the entire thing. So you basically would have to strip this toxic paint. Now, some of it was sticking and some wasn't. So you ended up having to take this stuff called SC89, the most toxic chemical I've and use it to smooth down the edges of any place you couldn't get the paint to come off. And the first 2 weeks we were trying to use regular respirators, but what we needed was oxygen supplied from the other room.
Yeah,
we were about to pass out,
Oh wow!
I still think that if I ever have an early death to some kind of leukemia or something like that, it'll certainly be.
There is that kind of habit of makeup artists, because they're around toxic chemicals like that all day, handling it with their fingers and hands and things like that. So that stuff's very scary.
Oh, you get real used to it. I remember my dad. I mean,
you get real used to it.
You're real.
Dude, my dad would wash his hands. My dad would wash his hands with He would literally wash his hands with Bestine, which is the stuff in Roger Rabbit that the toxic.
That's the stuff that kills the tunes.
The milk juice.
I didn't know that was real.
It's a real thing. In fact, the best foam latex paint back in the day, you would use, and you still do use, Bestine in the solvent.
No way.
Nasty, yeah.
I mean, even the canister looks like old school. Gonna dissolve some tunes.
Yeah.
I remember, and we used to
terrifying.
talk just like this.
That was terrifying. That scene.
How terrifying is Christopher Lloyd in that scene?
Yeah, he's amazing.
And then he starts hopping on his spring feet. Just incredible.
It's so creepy.
It's so terrifying. Why? No wonder our generation is just completely destroyed. So how many hours would you say you're into that sculpt so far?
God, it's hard to say. I would probably put it in about 7 full days if I was actually sitting here working on it. It's kind of hard to tell. I just come back in here and noodle for 2 hours, and then I don't touch it too much.
Eventually, all time becomes meaningless.
It's a labor of love.
It's like the hours. It's just hours spent inside a machine.
In some ways, it's better because, as you know, if the longer you walk away from your art, the more you realize when you come back how shitty you are. And you see all the shit that that you wouldn't see if you stared at it all day.
Or worse, you're going on Instagram and you're like, oh, look at this dude. He's amazing. And then you come back to your work and you're like, oh, that's right. I suck.
No, that's right.
That's what the ZBrush splash screen is for.
Oh man. Yeah, you want to feel bad. You just wait 5 minutes.
I move my mouse the second. That shit comes on. I'm like, get out of here.
Is
that or it's distracting in other ways. It's like, wait a second, that girl's way too hot.
There is something about that. I think artists are a little bit masochistic in that sense because it's so punishing sometimes to try and make stuff and sit down every day. And then you see other amazing artists who are way better than you. And you're like, oh, that's right. Why am I so bad?
Senpai.
But what's crazy is you keep going, even though you feel like crap.
The thing is it's the challenge for us all, the sliding scale of art, it's like there's so many different
That's not fair.
Some people are so good at some things and some people are good at other things. You got to just judge yourself against yourself, and that's the toughest. Sometimes it's almost impossible to,
Yeah.
And with personal art, it's great because then I can just keep going until I go, yeah, I don't think it sucks anymore. But I also have to finish it at some point. That's the other thing, that's always tricky.
You have to let go, and then there's an emotional cycle that happens with the art, because you're happiest while you're making it, right? Because you're excited, you've got a project to work on, right? Your brain is occupied. I've been thinking it like you give the dog a bone, right? So your dog is gnawing on a bone, it feels great. Then when it's over, right, you finish the project, you post the work, and you're like, I'm done, I'm moving on. Like definitively, I'm like, I'm over it. There's an emotional crash that happens immediately following. And that's because you don't have anything to work on. And
I'm only happy. I tell people this all the time. I'm literally only happy if I have 20% too much work to do. I'm not good with it just enough. I need a little bit more work to do. Otherwise, I don't do if I only have enough to do, I don't do that as well.
Is this why we become like multiple project jugglers at the same time? Like you've got 30 different things to work on?
Yeah.
Oh, it's dog time.
The dogs.
Happy time.
It's dog time.
Dog time. I think that's why, why we end up juggling projects is maybe because if we have like 40 different things to do, we'll never feel that crash of like, I don't have anything to work on.
I don't know. I think, dude, for me, it's like the second you get to the last like 10%, it's like, I know what this means, and I am not sure I want to do my just because it's the hardest part. Like I'll get all the way through something and get like into basic presentation and be like, man, the last leg of the last 10% of a project is always just the hardest part. Just executing that just high level stuff.
And also like you feel because once it's over, then it's subject to judgment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right, like you're posting it, and the
it's
judgment
no longer
is like,
it's no longer a whip.
No, it's the work, and that's also very painful.
As long
the whole process is just pain, beginning to end.
Yeah, it's like the entire Hellraiser anthology.
It's just we have such beautiful pain.
Speaking of, did you see the new trailer for season 4 of Stranger Things?
Oh, I did not. Did you, Matt? Did you watch it?
Yes, I saw it. I figured
You saw it.
I figured maybe you would have seen it as well.
Well,
Gregor,
I think I saw one of the early trailers. I don't know if this was like the final trailer.
Oh.
It came out earlier today, I believe.
Yeah, it came out earlier today.
And given our enthusiastic reactions, I think you liked it.
Oh well, I wanted to bring up some similarities to Hellraiser in that.
Oh, okay. So they were looking at Hellraiser.
Yeah, but also they got Robert Englund in that TV show.
That's pretty cool.
So that's officiating this television show. They got Freddy Krueger himself in the damn TV show. But it starts off, and I don't know what it says, but it's like, you're suffering. And like just the way that they kind of said it, is like, you're going to.
Well, they got to get to like the big bad villain.
Right?
They got to get to the big bad villain at some point, right?
Right. And so
isn't it like they have a mind player or something? Like
they show the big bad villain naturally, as any Netflix show would, in the trailer for a TV show that's the end all be all. but he's he's like this dead guy with all these tentacles kind of floating down, and it just reminded me of the Doctor from Hellraiser 2. So I was just getting some Hellraiser 2 vibes. But then you also got, Robert Englund in there. He's like got his eyes torn out or something. So
It's always cool.
it was also it was one of those moments where they were like catching you up in the trailer. They're like, it's been crazy since all this stuff happened, and I'm like, what the hell happened in the last?
Yeah, where
I just can't remember, dude.
you know how much content there is
Yeah,
now. You know how many things we've seen in between a
Mhm.
season of a show.
it's ridiculous.
And when you start working from home all day, every day, you watch everything.
Oh yeah.
There's too
Yeah.
much content. Gregor, you don't have that problem, do you?
When I'm at home, I tend to listen to music when I'm working, or I watch stuff that I've seen a million times because I'm really not going to pay attention to it. I end up listening to a lot of old Godzilla music or old Godzilla movies because I really just want to laugh at them.
Yeah.
I like the dubbed Godzilla movies just because
yeah.
I find amusement when I'm working. $6 Million Man sometimes comes on when I'm working because it's bad, not because it's good. I tend to watch stuff bad when I'm working. Speaking of good,
there's always like the stuff that you gotta watch. Like they're like, okay, I'm not gonna watch this right now.
Yeah. I can only watch stuff I've seen multiple times. I will watch, The Thing or something like that. Hey,
I will watch a movie that I know is going to be bad.
Well, it gives you permission to like not have to pay attention.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But sorry, Greg, what were you saying?
I was going to say, I don't know if you guys ever discovered this brush, but I have just fell in love with it. I bought this brush recently. This guy he's got a whole bunch of things. He's got a Geiger brush set, but he's also got this thing called...
Is that Pablo?
Oh, yeah.
The lip detailer is just this magic thing that just does this coolest, like...
Yeah, Pablo's brushes, and I buy a bunch of them.
Awesome.
Excellent. They're
awesome.
He knows ZBrush so well
yeah.
that he really knows how to tweak a brush to do that.
Yeah, it's actually worth buying his brush as opposed to trying to tweak it there. I mean, just being able to get these nice little striations, it's so awesome.
I have his Beksinski set. Let me show you. I actually have it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I got a few of them.
There you go. Anyway, he's got all these like scars and stuff, which I've used a bunch. Anyway, he's got like a
but like even the cutter,
like the bones. Like look at this stuff, right?
Super cool.
Really,
that is so tight, dude. Yeah,
it's just insane because you're just like, okay, done.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Like,
I could have spent a lot of time doing that, not as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And
like,
look at that. That's badass, dude. Right?
Ridiculous. Absolutely.
I love I love finding stuff like that. I mean, I love to have the control and just do everything with the clay buildup and stuff. But every once in a while, it's the happy accident of ZBrush. There's just these brushes that can just do some really neat stuff,
Yeah, and Pablo, he knows how to build these brushes really well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're great.
So fully recommend his website. By the way, I'll pull that up for anybody curious. Is zbrushguides.com.
It's really great for making wrinkly old man butt.
And we have to do a lot of wrinkly old man butts.
Like I said, when I was designing this guy, I kind of was thinking about what really
here's his website, by the way. Just zbrushguides.com. No, not there. zbrushguides.com. So pop that link in there. So we're talking about brushes bought from Pablo here, and his work is fantastic. His website's fantastic. Dude's great.
So this guy, I always thought he was like, part demon, but he was also part like pit bull. And I saw this picture of this pit bull,
kind of puggish, and
yeah. And, whatever. And I saw this great picture of a pit bull. It was actually a meme saying that everybody over 35 in a pair of skinny giant jeans looks like a pit bull standing on his hind legs.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was like, yeah, that butt is what this guy needs. He needs this just kind of little, I don't want a giant muscular ass on this dude. So,
no, I mean, well, it doesn't make sense, because it's like, it's not really working out its glutes. You know what I mean?
It's working out carrying this big ass head around.
Yeah, I mean, like that's where all the muscles are. It's all in the neck.
Yeah. So it's been fun.
That's really fun. So,
mostly what we do, is you do a few things, and you orbit around for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, most of our time is spent just tumbling around
looking at it.
But
I really want to try VR sculpting.
Yeah, because I see Geo do it from his videos, and guy is incredible.
That guy hits his form so tight.
And does it, without symmetry or all that. It's insane.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that the little micro head motions you get when you're working. Because when I'm sculpting outside in clay, I realize that it's not that you're just looking at it, because if you just freeze your head, technically it's almost 2D. It's those little slight head motions that you're doing when you're sculpting. Really, I think that's where I think VR might be helpful.
Just being able to tumble around it. I don't know about you, but for me, having the goggles on my eyes for any extended period of time is a little difficult. It doesn't even bother me, but like I don't want to wear it long enough to like actually sculpt something.
I think it would be good with the broad forms,
Yeah.
And plus, I think I need a lighter. I've got an old Vive, which is pretty heavy. I think I would be better off with like, one of those new Oculus sets. I want to try it anyway.
I feel like AR, once we can get AR sculpting, that'll be the breakthrough that I'm kind of like more excited to jump into.
You won't feel as trapped.
I won't feel as trapped. And then if you can see it in the world, just by wearing some glasses, you can see it in the world, tumble around it. I feel like that would be more conducive to the kind of sculpting that I want to do. There's something slightly claustrophobic about being in a digital world on top of it. Yeah. So, and I'm sure other people feel that way, in VR as well. It's I love it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend a lot of time in it yet.
The only thing I've done is really play games. Boxing games are great.
The games are fun. The games are super fun. But speaking of, you said you've been in Unreal lately.
Oh yeah. I was in the Unreal Fellowship, the first
that's right
round of that, which was
you were on the early.
It's super. Unreal is Unreal's super cool. It's there's definitely a learning curve and sort of there's almost a fear about it, because once you get into Unreal, it's not like you're opening up just a simple Maya scene. You're taking on this whole architecture and all this stuff. But being able, from a storytelling perspective, for me, being able to just get in and do game cinematics that look better than what I could do, 10 years ago with, 50 render farm machines, it's amazing, so those are the kind of things that, that real-time feedback is just, we've all sat there and waited for our renders to render, You know, we've all stayed up way too late waiting for a render.
Waiting on some renders to kick off
render. Yeah.
And finish with us.
So it, well, for everything, I don't think it's 100% there. I don't necessarily think it's going to be, it's not going to match every offline renderer, but for so many applications, it's the right tool, because if you can make 100 iterations, it's just going to be inherently, it may not be better in every aspect, but from a creative aspect, it is, because you've made 100, you've had a chance to make 100 more, decisions,
actually getting the scene to look the way that you want to look.
Right. And be able to go, you know what if we just decided to change all the lighting right now and just re-render it, instead of saying that to Matt in the middle of, Azura, where, it's going to take 2 weeks.
Give me PTSD, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I gotcha. But, instead, I send off I'm working on something right now, and I send off something that was a 6K render, and it was on my machine of, fully photorealistic characters that I could, go to the bathroom, and by the time I was done, it was finished rendered, and it's just that kind of, it's such a game changer. It does come with its own baggage, though.
Yeah. And I think that's programmer stuff that just boggles the mind why it's in there. And I wonder if future iterations of Unreal are going to get cleaned up, because for one, the node editing is atrocious. Just wanting to create a material.
Oh my god,
it's atrocious, and
it really is.
The problem with it is, for me, I'm used to creating everything with materials and nodes. I've never worked in anything that didn't do it in nodes, but I don't like the fact that for everything that you need a slider for, you have
every parameter you have to start with a dot and some script, and it's
you have to put a constant in there, and it's give me that slider to start with. I understand that it's more optimal because it's
for game dev folk, but now you're going to have a bunch of film people coming in, and film people don't want to deal with that. They're I want to be able to tweak it right now without
in Arnold, Maya, V-Ray, Maya software, there are materials, and it has diffuse.
It's mostly the same, but then you get there's enough to be just enough to be different to go, wait, what?
What is
wait,
happening?
What?
Again, it's like those I'd like to see some standards across the industry, so we can stop dicking around and actually jump into different programs without having to rewire your brain every single time. You're
what
do I do?
I don't know if that'll ever happen, because technology changes so fast.
Oh, true. And developers, they want their software to be different and to be unique, and
also they come at it from different aspects. I mean,
true.
I mean, we're sitting here working in the weirdest program of all. If you did not start in ZBrush, most people. I mean, it's an alien interface to most people. I mean, we're modeling tools. That it's a tool. It's not a model. Why am I not modeling a model? It's these just verbiages that each application, they choose it just to make our lives miserable.
What's strange is the reason why ZBrush works for me is because it works the way my screwy brain works. My brain doesn't operate. I had trouble.
Did you start in ZBrush
with this dude?
No, did you start in ZBrush? That's the first place you started.
Initially, I learned ZBrush from ZBrush 2, 10 years ago. And
but did you start in another 3D application first?
No.
Okay, so you started there, yeah. So you didn't have the foundation of normal. I get a real camera and I get to.
Right.
Well, I mean, I was trained on Maya.
Oh, okay.
My first experience with software was ZBrush 2, and I went, I don't like it. because it was so, that was like 2.5D
Right.
way back in the day. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is not there yet, but it'll get there one day. And then when I went to Noman, it was, Maya all the time.
Right.
And I saw someone working in ZBrush. And I went, oh, I want that.
Yeah, I did. As soon as I saw ZBrush as far as sculpting goes, that was like, yeah, I got to go there. That was the thing.
Because you see the stuff that comes out of it, and you're like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on my holy crab.
Oh, look at him, dude! It was
Yeah.
like his throne.
Yeah, I wanted him to be too big for it
Yeah, that's
and
great.
uncomfortable.
So what you're telling me is that it's an Elden Ring crab.
It's pretty, dude. It's like all gonna be Elden Ring from now on.
We can't escape it, man. It can't be escaped.
Even if I wanted to do something different, it would end up in Elden Ring, and
Yeah, happens. That's where we're at.
This is just kind of like where we are at as a species.
Yeah, everything is Elden Ring now.
Everything is Elden Ring.
I have not played Elden Ring yet.
Well, look, if you like having free time, don't play it.
Don't play it, okay?
It will consume your soul. Also, I don't know if you played like Bloodborne or any of the Souls games. I would say start on Bloodborne because it's amazing, and then graduate to Elden Ring.
What is Spiral? SJ. See, okay, it's happening again.
What are you SJing?
They're just changing up those.
Oh, I know. They just change hotkeys.
It's been the same thing for 10 years, and they're like, you know what? It's different now.
You know what? That hotkey that's completely built into your muscle memory.
That hotkey that you like.
That one that you use all the time. It's different.
Now it's different.
Now it's different. It's gone now. Yeah.
So here's something kind of funny, guys. Speaking of old ZBrush.
Good old ZBrush.
Check out this. So 2005. This is one of the first guides ever written.
Here. Is it on your screen?
Yeah, can you see it?
No, your screen's not shared.
I pushed the sherry thing.
Did you share it? Did you share the share?
You unpushed it.
Oh wait,
I think you pushed
there
it.
There we go. Hold on. Here.
Push the thing?
So yeah, so this is this is the first time someone figured out how to do UDIMs in ZBrush.
Oh man.
I figured out how to find out all these problems with how to transfer stuff. This was 2005.
Wow.
And I still operate the same ZBrush that I got for free for doing this this thing. Yeah. So this was all done in 2005, on how to transfer. This was how to do UDIMs and multiple things before they were actually called UDIMs. Before they were actually here, move press 1 so you move your coordinates here. They weren't called UDIMs yet, but that was the olden days.
The olden days, my lord.
The olden days.
The old time.
When you said ZBrush 2.0, yeah, that's when I pretty much started.
Yeah, dude.
Trying to figure out how to make it work when it wasn't made for production.
Yeah.
And because it was not a production tool. It's not like they wrote it and started it to be production. It was an illustration tool.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's built on that foundation of just being, weird.
For all the illustrators that use it.
For all us illustrators.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I think I have to take what you call a bio break.
Oh, he's got to take a bio break.
It's a little bit of a bio break.
We can do a check-in while we're there.
Cool.
We'll do a check-in. So
sounds good.
All right. Bio break, Gregor, and we'll see you guys in a second. Matt Millie.
It's pronounced Millard.
Millard.
Man, I'm doing good.
Yeah, it looks like your guy's got a Jambo.
Yeah, he's doing a bit of a Jambo right
I like
now.
his little what are those, like tentacle neck frillies?
Yeah, he's got these little let's see if we can actually figure out how to operate a computer right quick.
Oh, don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, so I'm going just like full blown classic to start it off.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Right. So, I took
Yeah.
I took my beholder model. Let's go ahead and quick save this before we crash it. That'll be nice. Let's just see if that works. Does that work? Okay, got to give it a second. Oh. Let it think. Let it think. You got to have faith. A little bit of faith. It's a lot of steps. There we go.
Oh man, you really went all the way back.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of walk it through. It's kind of fun, right? Just
That's
starting
fun.
to match some of that work. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it disappears.
But like, it's important for people to see, like, this is a lot of the times what we're doing is we're taking old models and we're tweaking them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like once you have a lot of times you kind of do some math of like, oh, this is what I have. This is what I have. This is what I have to use.
Yeah.
How can I save myself some time?
And whenever I was working on the beholder on this show, I was like, I kind of want this to be a base for like different kinds of beholders. But then last night I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do some angry balls. And I think what I'll do next is probably a critter from the same match.
Yes. You got to do a critter.
Yeah. So probably do a critter next.
I love those movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, maybe I'll actually.
Two has a special place in my heart.
Those movies are insane, right?
They are like objectively like really weird.
It was
once you remember the shape-changing aliens.
Yeah. It was the scene that I remember is from the first one where it's just a giant ball rolling down the street. It's just this big black ball, and then it's just a bunch of little critters balled up,
all stuck together, and they like.
I was like, oh my god!
They run over a person and gnaw him on the way down.
Yeah. Just to get it in.
Oh, I love those critters. The second one was the Easter egg hunt, right?
Right.
Yeah. That one messed me up because the little girl, she places her egg on the heater, which is incubating the critter egg.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole time you're like, don't put your feet down.
I know. Yeah.
Don't do it. And then does it. And then it eats her. It eats everybody.
Okay, so walk us through my favorite typo of all time, the holy crab.
The holy crab. So I thought I would do a holy crab because that's what I thought Matt was going to do.
It's my fault.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
No, I mean, you made it very clear just now that it's not okay.
It was okay. You can do whatever you like.
It's my fault.
It's your fault.
It's just Gregor's on. He's doing Doom. I want to do Doom.
No, it made sense. Great. It made a lot of sense to do Doom. I was actually mad at myself because I didn't think of any like Doom, and I'm looking at all the new Doom art, and I'm like, it's all perfect. Like, why? Yeah. What can I do? How can I possibly add to that? Gregor's back.
Here's a question: Is it fan art if you're doing stuff like based on your own old work?
I guess you're fan arting yourself, right?
It's like I'm a Doom fan, So like, is it fan art because I'm not getting paid for it, right?
I think it's some artists like they just get a thing that they do and that they like to do, and then that's like their thing. That can you can have a thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is that style or is it but speaking of Doom, though, I thought I'd bring this guy up because he's this is a digitized version of the original Spider Mastermind. So this was taken from my clay sculpture.
Oh yeah, is this the one that you kind of spiced up in Zed and then printed off?
Yeah, so basically did a
yeah. Look at that, man.
Look at that boy.
That's fucking awesome.
I did a photo scan of this guy, of the original, the mold that I have. I've got like latex versions of this guy around. And so I scanned them and then kind of just reposed his arms so they weren't just sticking out, for the mold out like that. And, just cleaned them up in ZBrush and then, did a print of this guy. So
I just did a little 3D
print. Yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
print.
The
Print boy.
prints turned out great. You made several, right? You made some. Did you mold them?
Yeah.
You molded them.
Yeah,
right?
I made some molds. It was cool. I kind of came up with some, so many of the things I still love the old school stuff that I used to do, so I love the idea of combining my digital skills with, the makeup effects stuff. So like the idea of, it's like, at some point I was like, I want to make a mold of this. And it's like, wait a second, I can just make the mold halves in ZBrush and then pour silicone on those and never have to make a wall and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for the most part, it worked, flawlessly, as well as a 3D printer can. You guys all know that there's sometimes a little wobble here and a little wobble there.
But that's actually important to bring up because a lot of people probably don't know that there is a huge,
your first 3D print is going to fail
really badly.
Well, your first
catastrophically
very many.
Yes. And you're going to go, what did I do wrong? And you're going to, and you will think you have figured it out. And then a couple of years later, you'll go, no, I need to do it completely differently than I was doing it, the first year I was doing it. So, it's fun. I love the 3D printing stuff and combining stuff,
Absolutely.
One of the things that excites me is seeing some of the stuff that some of the prosthetics guys are doing now.
I know.
Where they're skipping clay altogether. They're scanning people's heads in, and sculpting prosthetics,
Yeah, that's awesome.
And without ever having to go to clay, which is great to me because anytime you can skip making a big mess. Every time I go out in the garage and I make a mold or something, oh, this is gonna be fun, and it's like it's great, and then I spend 3 days cleaning up after.
Yeah. That's the down in the prep that it takes to do it.
The prep is everything. With us, we don't use. We have to do good topology and stuff like that when we're going into the final stuff. But when we're just designing, you don't have to prep. You just make stuff, right? And then, but like for real stuff, if you don't think about it, your thing's gonna fall over.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll break on a level that cannot be repaired.
Exactly.
Just decimated. Yeah, that it hurts. It hurts real bad. I heard a lot of those kinds of stories about people walking with the sculpt. They're taking the sculpt to mold and it falls over and breaks.
Oh, one of the worst things. And there's so many things that can happen, with practical stuff, But the truth is same thing with computers. You can crash, You can be saving your stuff on your desktop when you shouldn't be saving it on your desktop, and your computer crashes, and you have to tell the IT guy that you didn't save it on the server, and you're that guy,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah, that was
and then you have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
All over again.
Lest we forget about the time that I learned that you can Control Z in Windows File Explorer after pasting files.
Yes, you can.
So I copied a bunch of files from one folder to another, a bunch of production files, and then pressed Control Z, and then went on and did a bunch of other stuff, and then realized that Control Z didn't send it back to where it came from. It just deleted where it was pasted. It was
Yeah.
like, okay.
You know, we all have those.
Uh-oh.
You know,
That was on the mist.
literally the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me was learning how to use. I mean, it's as simple as learning how to. There's a first time for everything. The first time I learned how to use an alarm at a company, like to lock the doors, was at was at Rick Baker's.
Yeah.
And like it was a big responsibility. You're locking up, you're setting the alarm.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like all this different stuff. You got to do this and you got to do that and la. And like I was so nervous about it that I didn't understand the concept that the door needed to be closed when I was setting the alarm. So I had the door open, I set it and I left. And of course the alarm wasn't set. I come in and everybody's looking at me like I had just killed a kitten.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, of all the places I wouldn't want to fuck up was at Rick Baker's.
Yeah.
But I, in trying so hard, sometimes you try too hard, you know?
Yeesh. That is not the place that I would want to mess up.
You know what? It happens and you got to move on.
You gotta deal with your shame and
You got to deal with your shame.
you gotta just deal
One
with
time, I was the foam runner, and one time I forgot to turn the oven on when I went home. What are you gonna do?
it. What are you gonna do?
So years later, when Rick Baker is first like coming out on he's first doing artwork on the ZBrush forums. He did not put his name, on his artwork. He was just saying Monster Maker, like most people wouldn't know who that was, And I kind of called him out. I'm like, hey, you wouldn't it happen to be my ex-boss? And then get a private note from him. He goes, yes, and please don't out me. And he made a joke. And did you remember to turn the oven on? You just can never live that stuff down. What are you gonna do?
Memory like a steel trap. Jeez.
Oh yeah, what are you like I said? And what are you gonna do?
I mean, it's Rick Baker. Yeah.
I mean, guys, it's
Rick Baker.
He's still.
What are you gonna do?
He's my idol, man. Still to this day, even if he gives me shit from time to time, he's still my idol.
He's, just a master. Just an incredible.
Absolutely.
Such a natural style of design that he just nails everything.
It's very hard to replicate too.
Yeah, but he also just like defined a lot of standards. You know what I mean? In design across the board in film.
One of the things what's great is just when I worked with him, I got to pick his brain on just like weird things, right? Like little things you wouldn't think about, like design, like just designs. And he literally broke down character design into angles for me. He's like, look, he's like this, scary, 45 degrees.
Yeah.
Nice, 45 degrees. It's all about the angles of the face. And it's like literally just those two angles. The difference between Harry and the Hendersons were those brows that went this way versus that angry brow. It's as simple as that sometimes,
I don't know if you saw these that have been released recently. I'm gonna hunt for this. But some Rick Baker Godzillas.
Dude.
I don't know.
Rick did Godzillas?
Yeah, he worked on Godzilla. They worked on Godzilla at Rick Baker's shop, and it never got used. Never saw the light of day. I think this was for '98. But
that's
Stan
Winston.
Yeah,
Stan Winston.
Oh, sorry, Stan Winston, not Rick Baker. My apologies.
Yes, and that is so fucking badass. I saw that when I went to when Aaron was working there, and he was helping getting their digital division going. That was sitting in there. It's like, that is so cool.
Yeah, I just love the anatomy on that, man.
It's a very
natural.
Very natural Godzilla.
Yeah, it is.
And I wonder if that's maybe why they didn't go for it, is because it's natural. Right. Mm-hmm. And they, I don't know.
It was better. It was better than the one one that came after it, because that was the 94, and the 98 was
the 98 one.
Yeah, that looks nothing. At least this is reasonably Godzilla-like, where the 98 one's kind of like a angry iguana combined
I mean,
with
you know how that went. As a designer, they said, give us a Godzilla we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And they started tweaking stuff.
we all know. Yeah, I mean, I can remember my first CG creature I ever did in a commercial. I had an art director that kept telling me to make the character's teeth white, and I'm like, the character's teeth are white, and they're like, but they're not white. And they're
Why
kind of,
isn't the whole green? Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
but
same-
they're holding
same
up
thing.
they're holding up a white to the screen. It's like, yeah, but the character's in the dark, and they're like, why would the light affect the color of anything?
Yeah.
That was a question an art director. I said that literally it was like, why would light affect the color of anything?
Mhm.
And then you realize that sometimes, you just
Yeah.
have to
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta go with it.
You're like, okay, man, your show.
the show, yeah.
Your
Yeah,
show.
that's the Ang Lee Hulk, right? Like they were always like, well, why isn't he green? He's like, well, he's under red light, man. Like he's not gonna be
It's
green
not gonna
under red
look-
light. Yeah.
Not going to look like that under a different light.
Hmm.
I've learned how green is such a rich color because like you tweak it, you tweak green either into the warms or cools, and it can totally change the feel of something.
Well, the issue with, I mean, just to speak on it from my experience recently, the last like big production I was on, I had to make this giant, like 9 foot tall green, kind of like Oni demon for this Chinese film. It was very cool, but trying to push red subsurface through green is like very
Yeah.
difficult. Even like mathematically, just kind of doesn't make sense. So you start to run into a lot of issues with that green. Like that's a tough color, man. That's a tough color for flesh in general, because whenever you're looking at frogs, you're not seeing red. But whenever an art director's like, well, I want to see subsurface in the ears, and I'm like, well, okay, I mean, we're gonna do it. It just becomes like this weird back and forth with the math. Like, okay, so what color do I actually need to be pushing through here? You know what I mean? To like make this work right.
I've found for a lot of things, particularly like green colors, if you're doing organic characters, it's literally almost better to start with a, sort of a, almost a human Caucasian color, and then slightly start introducing your green until it's as green as you can get without things getting weird.
I'll do like a color travel where you start in your, kind of like what you were saying, you start in like a neutral like person's skin color, and then I'll kind of like slowly pick my way into the color, as opposed to like just plopping down a color and being like, this is it.
Oh yeah.
Like you gotta travel your way there.
There's a layering technique we used to do with, like in painting prosthetics that, Aaron and I both kind of were of the school of, kind of Steve Wang, school of layering of things. And, what's the other guy? It's just sort of these things that we picked up. And I also worked at a wax museum for a while where you learn these layering. Oh, the creepiest job in the world is to work at a wax museum where you end up going to the sister wax museum, which is really old, and you work there at night, and you walk around with a flashlight at night in a wax museum. There's nothing creepier.
I love that.
Nothing creepier.
I love that.
But anyway, it's the layering of paints. It's not the color you put down first. It's the color you're going to get to.
It's how you build up.
It's how you build up. You can't paint that guy the bright orange to start off with. You have to have all those layers to get to make that look natural.
Right.
It's kind of like what you were saying with the watercolor techniques earlier.
Yeah.
In the translucency.
Yeah, like ink washing and stuff like that.
Yeah, one of the things I picked up at the Wax Museum, artist he's a art director at Universal Studio amusement parks now, but super talented painter. But he used this technique where, and also Rob Bottin's stuff did this too, where you would go in and you would get your base paint like you're working on here, and then you would go in with little tiny like light transparent white dots all over it to give it like super sort of like texture. It almost is like a sculptural thing that you're doing on top of everything without having to, it's kind of an addition to the pores and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Learning those little tricks like that is it's kind of the joy, isn't it? Like when you pick up a little tip.
Oh yeah, man.
You get a little tippy tap, and you're like
looking for something and you can't find it.
Shout out to Gregor from Henry Stanke Scandalieri. I hope I said that right. I probably butchered it, man. I'm sorry. Shout out to Gregor. You were my hero. Awesome night for all of you. Too bad I can't stay long. No worries. You can always catch the replay on the YouTubes the next day.
Crazy.
Gregor, you got fans, man.
I just like the people that I meet on Facebook. I'm happy they enjoy that I made some cool stuff, got to work on some cool stuff. We all of us have gotten to work on such incredible franchises, and you guys won't realize how cool some of the stuff you've worked on is until 30 years from now. Like when I worked on Ernest Scared Stupid, I thought it was like the stupidest thing that I ever worked on, blah, blah, blah.
My jam.
Had the best thing, but I can't tell you how many people I met over the years that have been like, you don't understand. I watched that movie 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I'm like, I was, pretty much the voice of Trantor the troll. And they're like, what? Yeah. So crazy things that you do in your career, you never know.
Yeah, people just break down my door all the time to talk about Gods of Egypt.
Everyone,
they just like kick open my door and they're like, Jared.
Everyone's fighting Jared over Gods.
I thought it was the people that saw Azure for the 3 days that it was in the theater.
Boy, that was in and out.
That is a tragedy.
We will never know the true story of what happened to that movie.
I still want to see it.
I think they were like using government money to fund their project.
Whatever the case, I still want to see it. There was some cool shit made for that movie. We made some cool shit. Phil Tippett made some cool shit. There was some cool shit,
There was some cool stuff.
I never got to see the farting monster at the end.
Yeah, dude. Sure you did.
Burfer? What did we call him? Burfer?
Burfer. I'm pretty sure I showed you Burfer. I got him on my demo reel.
I think you showed me Burfer.
Yeah, so
I just lied.
Don't be on the internet lying to everybody about Burfer. Okay.
Burfer. Sorry, me and Burfer.
Wait, I saw him somewhere in my travels today.
There's a funny story about the Burfer. At the end of that movie, he this little creature comes out of a tree and farts on the main character.
He does fart on him.
And
he just blasts like a whole bunch of little gas on him.
And I textured and did the look dev and lighting on that scene. And
like this guy?
Where's he at?
Hold on. There he is. Burfer.
Yeah, the Burfer. Look at that shot. It's beautiful.
It's a gorgeous shot, man.
And so
this is you and me combo. I got to make
this.
That's
right. Yeah, you did the environment, and then what's his name? Zach did a bunch of cards or something on top of it. But this was a big and it was crazy how much work went into like 2 seconds of this of the very end sequence of this thing. But that's right. You did that huge. The environment's awesome. And actually,
so that's a JK, Matt Millard, Gregor Punchatz.
That's right.
Also, with a little bit
that's a combo.
That's all three of us right here.
That's a 3 combo hit.
Yeah, because JK did the design. I did the production model and lighting.
That's
Gregor
right.
did the environment. Look at that. Sewed it up nice.
Between all of us, we can make our own fan fiction if we want.
We can.
We can do it.
Oh, but the story I was going to say is that he farts here with these little bagpipes. And you would never ever see this in 100 years, but on all those little bagpipes, I put these little kind of butthole textures
Yeah.
at the
Okay.
very end. But I used a picture of someone's lips. And that is the secret to making CG.
And so you can put little buttholes using someone's lips.
Correct.
Did you know? I mean, the skin texture is the same between our butthole and our lips.
It's
the same
all, everything
kind
is
of
the
skin.
same.
Everything's the same.
Everything is the same. Everything is the same.
And that's beautiful, really, when you think about it. Yeah. Reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Recycle, reduce, reuse.
Reduce, reuse.
Yeah, you know, they had little
Beautiful shot.
dinosaurs. The little dinosaurs.
This was another fun one over at ASC we got to work on. I got to do some design work on this guy.
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
Now,
Yeah, I love that movie. Man, that movie turned out great.
You know what? That movie shreds.
Dude, the first half of that movie is like a masterpiece. It's like a
Yeah.
heavy metal magazine, which I think is what it was supposed to be, right? Like in its origins, it was going to be a heavy metal movie.
Really?
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
started
and
out
then,
as one thing.
then I think it went over to oh man, what's the other? Wolfenstein. It was adopted from heavy metal, went to Wolfenstein, and then became its own property. Just wow, brain fart. What's it called? What's the movie?
What's the movie? The name of the movie?
The movie that we're talking about right now.
Overlord.
Overlord.
It became Overlord. Yeah.
I always want to call it warlords instead of overlords. So this was the sort of the. Oh wait, that's not the right one.
It turned out great though. I mean, like the movie was actually really good.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
This one was a blast to do. So I got to do most of the 3D work on this. That was a blast. And then the comp team jumped in and made it most awesome. But I have a secret blooper that I don't know if anybody's seen before from that.
Oh, you got a blooper.
I got a blooper.
Blooping?
I want to see a bloop.
He's gonna bloop.
I want to see some bloops.
See if it'll open. Of course, it's got to open and not crash.
Man, I got recycle, reduce, reuse. It's all
Got a bloop.
Got a bloop.
You gotta
The
bloop.
blooper.
You gotta get a blooper.
So read the title of this here, right here. It's the Dexter's Lab remix version.
It's incredible.
If you can see it. But check out our scientists in the background. You can see them.
Well, like the glasses, bro.
Yeah.
That is incredible, man.
I wasted good production time making those glasses big because I just thought it was going to be hysterical.
That is pretty funny, dude.
Okay, that's going to show up on the internet tomorrow. Like,
I hope so.
Nah, nothing's on
Don't
there.
ever let that get out. I'm sorry, Aaron. I let that get out. Yeah, so that was fun. I mean, get to work on. I mean, just doing the different takes on this guy was fun. He never ended up looking like this, but it would have been kind of cool.
It's always fun exploring, like, that's actually the weirdest thing because you're always like wondering what they're going to respond to, right? You're like, I wonder if they're going to like that. I wonder if they're going to like this. And then the thing that you think they're going to like or the one that you like is not even close to the one.
They are never looking at the thing that you think that they're going to be looking at.
Or the worst thing that happened once was the one time that, like, I remember we gave them, like, it was actually on this particular job for Midnight Texas. We all did something really badass for it, and they saw the first one and didn't look at the rest.
Oh man.
Yeah, I loved that. This is like one of the few times where I was like, I got to do some kind of cool zombie things, and they didn't actually get past. I love Kyle, but I wanted them to at least look at mine. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like you work on it, and then they're paying for it. You'd think that they would want to like really
They would look
examine
at it.
everything.
Yeah.
But
That's the way the ball goes, you know. It's just the way the ball bounces.
it's that's the mercurial nature of clients.
Ooh, you busted it out, boys.
I did it. I said it. I said it. I said it.
You used the M word.
It's like we need like a Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like all the creatures go nuts. Mercurial.
That's the
Here's
word of the day.
here's a small world story. The guy that designed Pee-wee's Playhouse used to work for my father.
Small world. That is a small world.
Yeah.
It's a small world after all.
Tanner, yeah, super
It's a
talented
small
dude.
world.
But how did your dad come to like illustrating? Like obviously, like you're growing up with your dad, who's like already an incredible illustrator artist.
Who is a legend?
Yeah, he's already a legend.
Absolute legend.
Like how,
Yeah,
like that's your influence. Like every day.
So yeah, I mean,
was it like
honestly,
every day, or is he just like? I mean, of course you would take to all these creatures and stuff.
You know, yeah, I mean, it's certainly, my dad's stuff, that was my life, was art, watching people go to work at a studio and, make art, These, like, my dad took pictures of my hands with this. So this was an illustration for Ray Bradbury, So my dad, he worked with, a lot of the great science fiction greats. I forget who this may have been, an Asimov. But, so he, I was raised in, around science fiction in the 1970s, like going to science fiction conventions, doing, all sorts of stuff. And my dad was painting I thought it was normal for your dad to paint the cover of Time magazine.
That's
That's wild, man.
And just that was just my, him making all these cool. This is wicked, but it's a bad copy
Sweet.
of it.
That is so sick.
It's so cool. That's an excellent tattoo.
And then there was this, which was kind of he did this towards the end of his career, actually.
Sick.
And then this was certainly this. Whatever you think about this piece of art specifically, it is one of
It's iconic.
Dude, it's one of the most iconic images of
the 20th
my
century.
generation.
Easily.
Easily.
It's up there
Just
with
even just the composition and the font and the color scheme, everything about it, man. I mean,
and so I was raised around that kind of just thinking and seeing people make. I didn't know that it was weird to make art for a living. You guys, I'm sure Jared, you remember John Norris. He used to work with Aaron.
Yeah. Of course,
we were all friends, and so both Aaron and my dad were, or Aaron and John, both first job, like in the art field, was working for my dad, and it was they kind of told me. John once told me, he's like, your dad kind of was the first person that told me in a way that you could do what you wanted, that you could make a living doing art, that it was, there's
many of us kind of grow up with the, you'll be a starving artist. That's the stereotype that they throw at you.
Yeah.
Is you'll be a starving artist. You'll never make money. It's a very silly thing that you're thinking of. It's not a career. It's all stuff that we've all heard, before.
I can remember being taken down to the counselor's office because I had that's looking bad.
Looks badass, dude.
You're working. I'm just over here talking shit over here. That's awesome, dude.
Thank you, man.
I remember getting
got that red light.
I got caught with I used to take Frangorias and Cinefexes and Cinefantastiques to school, put them in my book and read them and not do my work, right?
Yeah.
I remember getting taken down to, the school counselor, and she's like, literally like, well, I mean, you really can't do this for a living. I mean, you got to have something to fall back on. And I literally told her, I go, well, if I have something to fall back on, well, then I'll fall back on it. I don't want anything to fall back on. I'm going to do this. And, I knew I was determined as a kid. When I was like 15 years old, you guys know who Dick Smith is? Like,
yeah,
Rick Baker, right?
Yeah.
I called him like when I was 14 years old. Called him on the phone, just looked up his number, called up information, and got his telephone number. And called him and recorded the whole conversation and talked to him about, like, how do I do this and how do I? And he talked to me for like 3 hours. This guy is like, at the time, he was bigger than Rick Baker and everybody else at that point. He was the king.
That is awesome.
That he spent that kind of time and then actually took interest in my work, as I was developing, but I can remember going to school and telling like Aaron and John going, yeah, I talked to Dick Smith last night. You liar. You just,
right.
They're all like, it's your girlfriend in Canada, kind of thing. And so I whip out my tape, it's like, no, really, I talked to Dick Smith last night. But, I always had that I'm going to do this no matter what attitude. Like, you just have to make it happen, and it's interesting. I think there's a sliding scale. I mean, it's not, things are more difficult now in some ways, but they're way more easier in other ways because there's way more opportunities.
Right.
There was, when I wanted to be a makeup effects guy, there was like 12 guys, that did that kind of work. Then when I got into it, then there was 50 guys, but there was this sort of thing. Now there is so much work everywhere, for artists, especially now with, this, the metaverse and everything. There is so much opportunity. Recently, there was kind of a discussion on Twitter. It was like, somebody was like, well, they were kind of thinking that like artists back in the old days used to make good money. It's like Ray Harryhausen was broke. My dad was broke. These people did not make money. Guys today in those positions have nice cars, that are in those, those things. So we have opportunities that a lot of people don't, and it's just, it's an exciting time to do stuff.
The value of these things has shifted as well, because like now we know how much these IP are worth. This content is worth. They buy entire billion-dollar companies for their IP.
Right. Yeah.
That's what they're getting into. So like the thinking has shifted, the value has shifted, to the creator. Now you can go on Kickstarter, and if your idea is popular enough that gets that gets attention, you can.
I love this. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you. I love this dude.
Oh yeah. Oh, thanks. He's coming along fun.
Yeah, dude, that's looking great.
This was the original, right? Just my mannequin, and he looks like he's like in the middle of a push.
A push.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what
you know what I'm talking about.
I feel you, big boy.
Eventually, I'm gonna try and make him a little bit like I'll tilt his head to the side to like slump it. Like I'll kind of make him like kind of tired and
but you want to keep him symmetrical.
I'll keep him symmetrical
for ease of use.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll kind of give him a little thing. But I wanted him to have like a bunch of little crab legs, and he has to sit in this throne that's like way too small for him.
Well, he's the holy crab.
He's the holy crab, the great crab lord.
That is super sweet.
It's good fun, it's good fun. And then get some lighting in there and other stuff. I've been experimenting with putting Unreal assets in Keyshot, and that's good fun too.
Oh yeah, that's awesome if you can get it there easily.
I mean, the only thing you have to be aware of, like if you're going to put it in your scene in ZBrush, is ZBrush flips the UVs. So you just have to,
because ZBrush just has to do that.
Just because ZBrush is weird and they like it weird. They want you to deal with it.
That was one of the things I got my a call from a friend of mine who's one of the higher ups at ZBrush the day that the Maxon thing was announced, and I go, it's all cool, dude, as long as you fix the UV thing. I literally holding him to. I was like, dude, you're telling me you got all this good stuff coming down the line. I got you. You got to flip those UV.
You got to deal with the UV flip.
Yeah, those legs reminded me a little bit of this guy from a project that never actually got finished that I did. This little, this is for a.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, this one we were trying to go after these floor busting guys, but it's one of the. Have you ever made a job where you actually like the specular map better than the actual result? I just always thought he looked kind of cool.
Oh, that's fun.
That's awesome.
That mouth on that thing. You know what that was? The original was based on. I bet you know. Matt, that's full on Deadly Blessing there.
There's that Deadly Spawn.
Deadly Spawn, yeah, Spawn, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
You did something once that was full on Deadly Spawn over at ASC. I was like, dude, Deadly Spawn. He's like, you got me.
Yeah, dude. You gotta bust it out every now and then. It's important.
The guy that did that. Oh God, what's his name? Just going to slip my head for a second. But he used to do these great sculpting tutorials, and he basically taught all of us monster kids how to sculpt wrinkles back in the day, because he used to do all the sort of like cinemagics and stuff like that, and like, here's how you sculpt a monster. It's John Dodds. That was the guy's name.
Oh, okay.
He was a super, super talented guy. I'm trying to move you. Have you ever tried? I'm trying to move your screen over there. That's never going to work. I guess I should work on this guy.
All right. I'm going to let this render.
You're going to let it render?
Yeah, this thing is just...
Did you whip that out like in no time?
This is just out of the box beauty renders, looking pretty nice. Yeah, I'm going to kick that out.
You're going to kick it out?
I'm going to kick it out, boys. A lot of people don't know this, but that's what we say in the industry. Yeah, we're going to kick that out.
We're going to kick it.
We got to kick that.
We're going to kick it out.
Yeah, we're going to kick that. I'm sending that to the farm. We're going to kick that out.
We're going to kick it out to the farm. We're going to set off a Rendy.
Mm-hmm.
Looks great, dude.
So this was here is my print of this arch.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, look at that boy.
Yeah, dude. Do you have that print laying around, or is it somewhere else?
We got him back here.
I want to see that. I want to see that scale.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him. Yeah. So what is he said he was 16 or 12, 14?
Yeah, he's not as big as it's one of those things because his hands are up. He just doesn't feel as big as I would hope. I still want to see him a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I want to paint him next. It's one of my next weekend plans. But yeah, he turned out great. I mean, it's kind of hard to see, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw the. I was following you while you were printing that. Ended up looking really good.
Yeah, he was a lot easier to print because I had some experience than the mastermind. I actually think mechanical parts are actually harder thing to print because you see the lines so much more. With this guy, some of the stuff just kind of falls into the wrinkles, and it looks great. It looks like tissue, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just depends on how far you want to take it. I mean, you know, like my Cthulhu model is so big that some of that stuff you can just kind of sand out, and then whenever you hit it with whenever you hit it with just like some sort of primer, everything pops and it looks insane.
Yeah,
you know?
it'll just fill in. Yeah. So yeah, I want to get this guy painted, and you know, I keep thinking I might try to do something for Monster Palooza, but I know I'm going to run out of time. You know, so maybe next year.
Every time we're like, I'm going to do something for Monster Palooza, and then no.
Yeah, I mean, I sculpted a mask that I cast one copy of the demon from that my dad did from the cover of Doom.
Dude, that thing is looking so sweet, Greg.
Thanks, man. But you know, I've stopped at I got the head cast, and then I have the horns, and they're sitting in plastic bags. They're molding.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to find somebody who has a good hand scanner, because I just want to scan them and do them in ZBrush and print them, because it's just going to be easier.
You should. Do you have an iPad Pro?
Yeah, I have
an iPad Pro. They have excellent scanners.
It's decent. It's still not as good as that sweet, you know, like one of those things that, you know, you probably have
cloud-based
legacy where it's down to the millisecond, you know.
Well, I mean, they run a hand scanner. So.
Yeah, that's what I want one, but they're like $5,000, you know, to start.
They are expensive, dude. They really are. Yeah. You know, they've got the market locked. That's okay. But yeah, I mean, you know, you can get decent scans using your iPhone. Absolutely.
Yeah, we have. I mean, my wife has the most recent that's got the LiDAR thing, or the little radar thing built into it. It's decent, but it's not. I'm not gonna be able to make a mold from it, you know, kind of.
You won't, dude. Like, because actually they have that technology locked in their software, so they haven't come out with any software that actually utilizes the full capacity of that LiDAR camera in the iPad.
Really?
Yeah. So whenever I got that iPad, I was like, yo, I'm going to do all this 3D scanning with it. But all of this software is kind of bottlenecked, or not bottlenecked, but it's like capped, right? They haven't released that yet in software capability to actually follow up on how awesome the LiDAR stuff is.
Man, that sucks.
It's always the case. They promise you big stuff, and then you never get it.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. That looks rad, dude.
There we go. We're going to render that one out.
That looks beautiful, buddy.
Dude, thank you.
Pulled that out real quick. That was my mistake. It's like, I'm going to sculpt something new.
Well, like I was saying earlier, we got Greg on here.
Yeah, Greg.
Talking about Doom. We got it. I had to go Doom.
And you did have a nice little Kickstarter there with that guy, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you might have.
Be honest, I think you might have taken him up a notch here on this guy. He looks pretty damn awesome.
Dude, thanks. Yeah, he looks fun.
Pretty damn awesome.
Have to print that one next.
Just print all your little roundy boys.
Angry balls.
Angry roundies. Angry roundies.
Angry roundies.
Angry roundies.
Here's one. So shortly before Doom 2016 came out, I was kind of like, what would I do if I did a new Spider Mastermind? And so I started working on this guy.
Oh, let's see. There you go. Oh, sweet.
Wait, hold on, man.
That a big old.
Man, I gotta switch pens. My pen's acting good.
Is that a big old?
Is that a big old?
Oh, it's a big old. Hold on.
Is that a big old?
You got a big old. Look at that big old.
Yeah, so instead of the cannon being under here, I thought it'd be cool if he had like a brain cannon.
Yeah.
I hadn't worked out his mechs on his arms yet. I was kind of figuring out like what was the organics underneath it before
Right.
they attached it. And then I decided I'd probably just get rid of it and do it all mech. But it's actually just kind of, if you actually look at what they ended up with, it wasn't too far off. We both kind of ended up in the same vicinity.
Oh, that's pretty gross looking, man.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
That is pretty gross.
And he looks angry, which is like that's one thing I always appreciate about all of
to be angry.
All of Doom's like designs and creatures and everything is one, they're all pissed off. They're all really mad at you.
Yeah, there's an attitude.
Everyone's upset.
They're very, very mad at you, and they also have large weapons attached to their bodies.
Large weapons attached to their bodies.
Attached to their bodies. And let me tell you something. That's something I appreciate.
I love that part.
It's one of these things I haven't looked at this guy for. Like, yeah, I gotta finish him. He's pretty fucking cool. Excuse my language.
No, you can swear.
Yeah,
it's after 10 o'clock.
Oh, that's right.
It's not for kids.
Speaking of, it's after midnight for me. So
it's after midnight.
Pounds.
And so
is it getting pumpkin hour?
It's getting pumpkin hour. So we'll do one last little check-in. Matt, you just like crushed that real quick. I would put like little hairs on him.
Yeah, make him just a little hairy boy.
I think he needs to be a little bit hairy.
You think
like break?
I'm in a smooth.
He's very smooth.
Phase. I'm in a smooth phase. I have my Cthulhu was smooth. My legs are smooth.
Yeah. He's a little smooth. He's
a waxed caca demon.
Yeah, he's like a resin cast. I could put some fucking hairs on there. I want to get in there and obviously work it all out. Maybe tertiary stuff, but I mean, the lighting came together really well.
Oh man, for just like it's just we're here for a very short period of time, and then you just come out and crush it. That looks great, dude.
Thanks,
and then this is where I ended up on the Holy Crab.
Oh, dude, I love his head, man.
You said you weren't doing Doom stuff. There is something Doom-like.
There's a little bit of Doomy.
Yeah.
There's a little Doom, very, very Doom Eternal. That's got some Jason Martin vibes going on.
Yeah. Man, Jason's so good.
And super talented guy, super nice guy too. Super nice guy.
And then
I just flipped around between old Doom stuff, the other things I had, and I brought up. I got this guy rendered now, so you can see him with shadows. He's a little bit better.
Yeah, let me pull that up. There you go. Yeah, that's sweet, man.
Yeah, so
you should, you should polish that dude off.
I need to finish that guy up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's rad. Well,
good enough to print anyway.
Heck yeah. Well, guys, there we go.
This has been awesome, guys.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for hanging with us, man.
Yeah, hey, Greg. Like, as always, like we miss you, man, and it's always
same,
it's always nice getting to hang out with my friends on the Creature Corner.
Absolutely.
One of these days we'll be all working again together.
I know, dude. Well,
that'd be nice.
It's so funny. It's like with all of our kind of like combined friendship powers, we could run our own pretty impressive studio if we ever decided to do it.
We really could.
It has crossed my mind.
Well, that's hell, man. It's been great having you on. If you're looking for more of Gregor's work, or you want to reach out to him, call him. It's at Punchatz, right? Like, or is it G?
If you search my last name,
if you search for his last name, you will find it.
You will find it on the YouTube. I have a lot of I do some Doom historical stuff there, just some of the stuff I'm working on, personal work. What's funny is I rarely talk about the actual work I'm working on, directing commercials, stuff like that, because that's not as fun as monsters.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, heck yeah, buddy. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you everybody for joining us. Next week we'll tune in on the regular hour, and we'll be making some more monsters. So come hang out with us. Thank you to our sponsor Lenovo, and thank you to Noman School of Visual Effects, the mecca of visual effects, and our home away from home. Thank you, everybody. Good night, and we love you. Keep making monsters, baby.
Later,
Thanks for
guys.
having me, guys.